back to the Jason Show, everyone. You've been alone a lot lately, which means you might have been picking up a hobby or two. Probably reading is one of them. I know for me it has been, and summer is just around the corner, and that means I'm going to be reading even more because summertime means a lot of book time for me. That's really in large part because of my mother. We've been reading since we were little kids. She used to read to us every night before we went to bed, so I thought, what better person to talk to about reading and which books we should be looking into than my mom, Sid. Hi, Mama.
Hi, Kendall. How are you?
I'm good. It's so weird to have this interview with you on Zoom.
I know, social distancing. I'm not a fan.
Not a fan. I just want to hug you.
I know. Thank you.
Well,
yeah, so when you talked about reading, you're absolutely right. I do have a job that I love, mainly because it's at a library, so perfect fit for me.
Well, before we get to the juvenile books, I picked a Minnesotan author, a book all about Minnesota that
Yes.
you recommended to me. This was one of my favorite books. You have it, being
Yes, I do.
so
I got it home.
you are. Right there, it's The Lager Queen of Minnesota. If you can't see it, we'll put a little graphic up, but it's called The Lager Queen of Minnesota by, is it J.
Ryan Stradal. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. It's Stradal. He was born and raised in Minnesota. Has won a major book award for his first book, which was on the New York Times bestseller list as well. And it's called Kitchens of the Great Midwest. He won quite a few awards for being a debut author at that time with that book. And this new book of his, The Lager Queen, is actually going right down the same path. He's a very interesting man, and I just love him. I just love this book. He now lives in LA.
Dad, you like the book.
Actually, I love this book. I do love this book. So you tell me why you liked it.
Well, I really loved it. One, I love stories that are intergenerational. So you hear the perspective of two sisters and the granddaughter specifically of one of these women. Without giving too much away, one of them becomes very successful in the brewery industry. The other has a pretty rough life, even though she's this wonderful woman. And her granddaughter is the granddaughter we hear about. So just hearing intergenerational content. He talks about places in Minnesota, in the metro. He talks about places outside of the metro. He talks about breweries that that are local. So it's really cool if you like that intergenerational story weaving. It's great if you're interested in beer and how to make beer because,
yes,
you know half that stuff.
I'm not even a beer lover, and I wanted to go start drinking beer when I got done with this book.
That's for all of us adults. Then you've got one for JYA.
Yes, this is considered JYA, and the name of it is The Truth as Told by Mason Buttle. This book was published in 2018. It's written by Leslie Connor, an already established author. And all of us at the library that are interested in children's literature thought this would win awards last year. But this year it has come back up again, and it's nominated for a National Book Award for Young People's Literature, which I think it deserves. This is also a classic story. Mason Buttle is the most lovable character you will ever meet.
Really?
And by JYA, I mean juvenile literature, but it can go up to probably, it's around 12 to 16 years old, I would say.
Okay.
Because it does have a little more of an adult take on in the concept. So he's this big kid, biggest in his class, has a terrible learning disability, so no one thinks he can read or write. They think he's stupid. He has a sweat issue, so he's always perspiring and feels real gross, but he's got the kindest heart. Anyway, this makes him, of course, he's constantly bullied, even though he's the big kid in the class. And compounding all this is he's got a major amount of grief he's dealing with. His mother has died, his dad has gone, and here we are at the intergenerational again. He lives with his uncle and his grandmother at this apple orchard that his family owns. And so he has no friends. He's also kind of hounded by this police lieutenant who thinks that he is to blame for his former best friend's death. His best friend died on their property. And so he feels he can't understand why this lieutenant doesn't believe him and what he's saying and telling the truth, because Mason Buttle is as honest as the day is long and would never tell a lie. And then we have a new friend that comes into the picture and all the drama that happens with that, and he goes missing. So again, everyone's looking at Mason Buttle thinking he did something, but
Oh.
fascinating story.
The final book, we've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll do it really quick.
Readers.
This one, Who Wet My Pants? Fabulous book. Great story time, read aloud for a child to look at because it's written by Bob Shea, who is an author and an illustrator, and then it was illustrated by Zachariah O'Hara, who's also a very, very famous illustrator in children's book. So what they say about that is it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. So here we have, I can't remember his first name, Reuben. He's the troop leader, and he brings donuts for his troop. And instead of looking at the donuts, all these little woodland characters are looking at a wet spot on the front of his pants.
Oh.
And he says, "Who wet my pants?" Of course, he's embarrassed. He tries to go through this whole, I didn't do it. How could it have happened? And all his friends are being very kind and basically telling him, it doesn't matter. It was an accident. We'd still love you. And so such a great story in 32 pages. Highly recommend it. And I highly recommend Bob Shea and the Zachariah O'Hara, who's a fabulous illustrator.
Well, Mom, thank you for helping us out. We've got our adults, we've got our teens, and now we've got our kids with Who Wet My Pants.
So many books to read.
So many books. And of course, check out your local library. There's always people there that will help you if you're ever looking for a book. Hey, if you missed any of these books, of course, we will post this on the Jason Show Facebook page. You can always reach out to me on Instagram, kendall.mark. My mom will probably answer you. And she'll tell you exactly where to find that book. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you. Have a great day.
The Jason Show will be right back.